You're watching West Dakota Fox News at 9 with Anna Schleisman and meteorologist Henry Blakes. Your first news of the night starts right now on West Dakota Fox News at 9.
This is a moment of great devastation, both religiously and culturally.
Well, that was Monsignor James Shea talking of the tragic fire at the historic Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris. Bystanders broke out in hymns and prayer as they helplessly watched the magnificent cathedral burn. The president of the University of Mary says so much was lost today, and he's not sure we will be able to reconstruct such a monument of faith that was so much more than a fantastic work of art.
The architecture isn't just impressive in itself. It has deep meaning. Every stone of Notre Dame was put there in order to construct a symbol of the spiritual life here below.
Monsignor Shea said UMary students visit Paris and the cathedral every semester. Although the famous spire is now gone, French authorities say the worst has been avoided. Both towers, including the iconic bell tower, have been saved. They also say the most precious relics and works of art have been sheltered, and they're working to save as many pieces as they can. An investigation is underway to determine the cause of the fire. Well, Henry, what do you know about this week's forecast here?
Hey, things are pretty mild. That's the good news, much milder than it was over the weekend. But for the time being, we do have just a few spotty showers across parts of the northwestern region in and around the Williston area into northeastern Montana. Much of that not really reaching the ground, but a few sprinkles and light raindrops can't be ruled out, and especially after we get rid of most of that daylight, the energy will be gone, and those slight rain chances will be on the decrease. Hey, we're still at 51 from Williston, Minot, Bismarck, 45 in Dickinson, 47 for Jamestown. So overall, not a bad evening. The wind, thankfully, has let up, so now we've got a northwest wind 5 to 10 miles per hour. For tonight, the clouds are going to linger around. Southwest wind continuing 5 miles per hour, 5 to 10 for some, but our temperatures are going to be hovering slightly below the freezing mark. So we'll be waking up to temperatures mostly in the upper 20s and lower 30s. Your complete forecast for the week coming up later on.
Thanks, Henry. Well, we're getting new details in the incident last week at the Mall of America. 24-year-old Emmanuel Aranda, a Twin Cities man with a history of erratic and criminal behavior, was arrested after he allegedly threw a 5-year-old over the third-floor rail. He's charged with first-degree attempted murder. Documents say the boy's mother and her son were standing in front of the Rainforest Cafe when Aranda approached them, picked up her son, and threw him over the railing and fled. After he was arrested, he told investigators he was repeatedly rejected by women at the mall and lashed out. He had planned to kill an adult but chose the young boy instead. Well, that young boy is still in critical condition. First responders say he has multiple fractured bones and suffered massive head trauma. Family friends started a GoFundMe account to help with medical bills, which has already surpassed its $500,000 goal. An investigation into a domestic aggravated assault and terrorizing incident led to a 6-hour standoff this weekend. 20-year-old Jaden Smith barricaded himself in a house on the 2700 block of Lexington Drive here in Bismarck on Saturday afternoon after leading Mandan, Bismarck, Burleigh County, and Highway Patrol law enforcement on a low-speed chase. North Dakota SWAT arrested him Saturday evening. Smith is charged with aggravated assault, terrorizing, and simple assault, domestic violence. Morton County Jail renovation started last month to convert the unused jail on the second floor to office space, and they've been hit with some unanticipated costs. The Morton County Commission chairman says they found asbestos in the insulation, so they'll have to remove ceilings from the main floor and basement, replace the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning system, as well as plumbing and electrical work. It's funded through a half-cent sales tax, which is now projected to last 11 months longer. Well, as of April 1st, those shopping and staying in Bismarck are paying more in sales taxes, too. That means everything from hotels to food is now going to cost a little bit more. City leaders and commissioners came up with the idea last year to help fund infrastructure projects, and voters approved the ballot measure last fall. The city's engineering department is working on a number of areas, like South Washington Street, 43rd Avenue, and others.
I have noticed it, but not directly. I do think there's a need for it. I think our infrastructure in Bismarck is very sadly depleted, so I think it's a good thing.
The other part of the plan to help pay for road projects is capping the 25 mil property tax buy down at the 2019 level, which comes out of the 1-cent sales tax. Well, the IRS says about 50 million taxpayers have yet to file. So if you're one of them, you have until midnight, or you can file for an extension to avoid penalties if you need more time. Go to irs.gov for further information, then get to your filing. A performance audit reveals North Dakota State College of Science leaders engaged in inappropriate activities surrounding the proposed Career Workforce Academy. It's a joint project between NDSCS and public schools in eastern North Dakota and western Minnesota. The state auditor's report outlines questionable fundraising methods, results falling short of goals, overstating results, and that the college president used inappropriate methods in obtaining approval for the academy. Well, the Better Business Bureau of North Dakota and Minnesota are warning of fake auto dealer and shipper websites. They flagged Duluth Motors Transport, Tralloway International, and auto recovery brokers after receiving more than 200 inquiries about them and found they defraud customers out of thousands of dollars. One victim wired $17,000 to Duluth Motors for a vehicle he never received. The BBB encourages consumers to use their scam tracker and to avoid wiring money. Well, behind officers, firefighters, and EMS are teams of people across the state who answer those calls. These dispatchers not only love their jobs, but understands the importance of their position. They say being a calm voice of help is what people need, especially when they're often the first voice residents hear during a tough time. Some call them the unsung heroes, but they say being able to help first responders get to people in need is so rewarding.
To get a 1-year-old child who's choking, breathing again. To this day, that's probably going to be my favorite call.
There are 21 911 centers across the state. 25 of the counties across North Dakota are covered by state radio, whose director says a federal bill aiming to classify dispatchers as first responders is being discussed. Losing a loved one is devastating, but knowing they can save others helps. Jordan Verdadero tells us how lives are changed because of generous organ donors.
Tony Reinbold knows you can't measure the time spent with a loved one. Her husband, Mark Vanderhoff, struggled to stay hydrated, was on dialysis for 3.5 years, and needed to get a kidney transplant.
At the age of 27, I was diagnosed with a medical condition, and the medication I was given to treat the diagnosis, I had an allergic reaction to. And that allergic reaction had immediate effect on my kidneys, and I lost both all my function in my kidneys.
That's when Vanderhoff was put on the waiting list for donation from LifeSource and says he didn't know what life would be like without being on dialysis.
We received the call that I was going to receive a transplant that day. It was about 7 or 8 hours before I actually received the transplant and went into surgery.
Reinbold says life changed after her now husband's transplant.
We immediately started to plan our wedding and got together with our family.
But while someone is on the waiting list, another person is getting ready to become a donor.
My granddaughter, back in 2009, passed away in a car accident, 11.5 months old, December 23rd, 2009. So Christmas is never going to be the same for us. But she became a donor on December 24th when she passed away.
Cantler says his granddaughter was able to save 2 lives and enhanced up to 27 other people's lives being a donor.
Hug your family every day. Tell them you love them, because it all can change in a second. So always remember to tell your family how much you love them.
In Bismarck, I'm Jordan Verdadero, reporting for your news leader.
The CEO of LifeSource says just by putting donor on your driver's license could change lives. Well, the federal government wants to tie grant money used to fight the opioid crisis to states using a data sharing system. Mark Hardy, director of North Dakota's Board of Pharmacy, says the state has been sharing data with other states since 2010, and switching that now puts the state in a difficult position. And the federal government is pushing their own version of the system when private industry has already come up with one. If North Dakota says no, they could lose out on $5 million in grant money.
deaths decreasing, the number of opioid prescriptions being dispensed in the state going down is certainly all positive signs, the reality that we're getting our hands around this, but we just don't want to take a step back.
Hardy says another concern is how they would protect patient information and keep it safe. Well, the North Dakota Department of Transportation has given more than 2,000 special license plates to volunteer first responders for free since the November 6th election. But the measure has some ambiguous language. Lawmakers are debating whether first responders are exempt from paying $25 a year for personalized plates, or if the measure keeps them from having to pay for their full $125 registration. If all fees are covered, the cost every 2 years goes up to $3.3 million for about 11,000 eligible volunteers. And someone who lies about their pet being a service animal may soon face a fine of $1,000. The penalty applies to anyone using their pets to get into public places or obtain housing. The legislature approved the bill today, which looks to protect disabled people who truly rely on service animals. It now goes to the governor's desk. And Governor Burgum signed a bill declaring the third Monday in April Patriots Day to honor the start of the Revolutionary War. Deputy Adjutant General Robert Becklett says our founding fathers still influence our national defense, and one thing makes the U.S. unique.
That's one thing unique about this country, the ability for the states, individual states, to form militias or national guards under the command of the governor that have links into the federal government to serve and protect the citizens of the state. Very important, and we're very honored to do that.
President Trump was in Minnesota, but there's some tension with their congresswoman. Details next.
And temperatures are going to be on the rise over the next few days, but there'll also be some changes as far as precipitation is concerned. I'll have your forecast and more when we return.
Well, the president is facing off against a junior congresswoman, but now she's getting death threats. Griff Jenkins has the latest.
Representative Ilhan Omar is firing back at President Trump, saying she's getting death threats referencing a video he tweeted. The Minnesota Congresswoman tweeting, quote, "Violent rhetoric and all forms of hate speech have no place in our society, much less from our country's commander-in-chief. We are all Americans. This is endangering lives. It has to stop." The Congresswoman is referring to a video the president posted on Twitter Friday that included this clip.
CARE was founded after 9/11 because they recognized that some people did something.
The video goes on to show footage of 9/11. The White House maintains the president is simply holding Omar accountable.
If she continues to do it, the president will continue to call her out by name, and he's not going to be ashamed, nor should he be.
Monday morning, the president doubling down on his remarks, tweeting in part, quote, "Before Nancy, who has lost all control of Congress and is getting nothing done, decides to defend her leader, Representative Omar, she should look at the anti-Semitic, anti-Israel, and ungrateful U.S. hate statements Omar has made." But Democrats are quick to defend Omar, saying the president went too far.
I was appalled by that video. When the president put out that video, it simply added to the hate and it added to the threat on her life.
Speaker Pelosi announced Capitol Police are taking steps to ensure the safety of Omar and her family. She also called on the president to take down the, quote, "disrespectful and dangerous video." In Washington, Griff Jenkins, Fox News.
In the meantime, President Donald Trump was in Minnesota on this tax day to highlight the economy and his tax bill. A roundtable discussion was held at a truck equipment company in Burnsville. Today's visit marks the third time he's visited Minnesota in less than a year. It's also a chance to lay the groundwork for 2020. He touted the largest package of tax cuts in history and says over 80% of American families are now receiving that big tax cut. The state has not voted for a Republican for president since Richard Nixon in 1972. Well, Senator John Hoeven announced today that Agriculture Secretary Sonny Perdue will pay a visit to North Dakota on April 27th. Hoeven wants him to hear from producers firsthand on how best to implement the Farm Bill and address trade uncertainty. He'll also see our local innovations in ag production. And after much hype, the Justice Department says Attorney General William Barr is expected to release the Mueller report this week. A redacted version of Special Counsel Robert Mueller's investigation into collusion between President Trump's election campaign and Russia is set to be released to Congress and the public Thursday morning. The president's supporters say it totally exonerates him, but the Democrats don't trust Barr's initial report. Many are pushing to see an unredacted copy. Another topic that's been top of mind, President Trump's suggestion of moving illegal immigrants to sanctuary cities, a topic both sides commented on over the weekend.
I am proud to be the mayor of a sanctuary city. We believe sanctuary cities are safer cities.
He shouldn't use them as what he imagines as retribution to political opponents.
We're not securing our border. We're not enforcing our laws. Sanctuary cities are illegal.
White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders stressing this is not President Trump's first choice, just an option to help handle the overflow of immigrants. New data shows CBP apprehended a record-breaking 92,000 migrants at the border just in March. Well, Senator Kevin Cramer said in a statement, under current requirements, many undocumented immigrants cannot be detained for longer than 20 days. Given the administration's limited options, releasing these immigrants into sanctuary cities may make the most sense until Congress is willing to change our immigration system. How's our weather system this week, Henry?
Weather system, overall, as far as temperature-wise, we are pretty good, but there will be several chances of rain showers. Nothing terrible expected in the forecast, but you'll notice as we look at our live Skywatch cameras, we're getting more and more daylight hours. Still a nice day in Williston. Evening, technically, a few clouds here or there across the Bismarck Mandan area. Nice shot of the river with our live Bismarck Skywatch camera at BSC. And we're taking a look at the Dickinson Skywatch camera. Great evening in the Queen City, a mostly clear sky. And as I mentioned, rain is expected, not snow, thankfully, but this time around it will be for Tuesday evening into Wednesday as the system brings us some moisture. Speaking of moisture, let's take a look at the preliminary snowfall totals. Ashley, you've been hammered this season. 110 inches of snow. Jamestown 65, just under 60 for Bismarck. Elgin 56, Bowman 52, and notice the list goes on and on. Just over 40 in Williston, Dickinson 38, and 36.4 for the Magic City as far as snow. But for right now, just a little bit of moisture across northeast Montana, northwestern North Dakota. Much of this not even reaching the ground, but can't rule out the chance of a few sprinkles here or there. Otherwise, don't cancel your plans for this evening. Our temperatures, we're still talking about mid to upper 40s and lower 50s. The wind was blustery earlier today, but now it is let up out of the northwest, averaging between 5 and 10 miles per hour. That warm front is the reason for the westerly wind. At first, our wind was southerly earlier this morning, but then it became westerly behind the front, and that allowed things to warm up for today. Now, for tomorrow, we're starting out on the clear side, but we'll have increasing clouds from southwest to northeast throughout the day, starting in the morning and continuing through the afternoon. Mainly dry, but during, let's say, the early afternoon hours, could start to see some showers pop up across the far southwest and then push northeast for the evening. So that's where the rain chances start at for tomorrow. But as far as the north and the central region, your rain chances will come later on Tuesday. By lunchtime Tuesday, we are already in the mid to upper 50s, and then by the time you know it, we're in the 60s. Rain showers by at least 2 to 3 o'clock Central Time, making their way to the extreme southwest, and then gradually pushing north and east as the hours progress, just giving you some rain showers. Clouds continue for tonight. Light wind out of the southwest, 5 to 10. Morning lows slightly below freezing, so I'm calling for upper 20s and lower 30s. But as I mentioned, for tomorrow, we are talking about the chance of rain showers, especially across the southwest, and then increasing elsewhere into the overnight hours. Looking at the week ahead, several more rain chances, especially early, Tuesday night into early Wednesday. But after that, let's get ready for the Easter weekend. Friday looks good, nice and sunny, highs near 70 into Saturday, but then there will be a brief cool down on Easter Sunday, but it's still going to be gorgeous weather-wise.
Sounds good, Henry. Well, up next, a good reminder to stay off the railroad tracks when those barriers come down. Well, traffic cam caught a commuter train slamming into an SUV in downtown Orlando. In the video released by police, the vehicle is seen driving under the crossing gates, then stops for about 15 seconds before slowly driving forward directly into the train's path before being hit. No one on the train was injured, but the driver is in serious condition. The police department continues to investigate this crash. Well, a man from McHenry County has been arrested after court documents say he exposed himself on an Amtrak train on Friday. The documents say 56-year-old John Spalding of Montana has been charged with indecent exposure after he allegedly showed himself on the train. And United Airlines extended its canceling of all 737 MAX flights through early July, following similar moves by American and Southwest Airlines. After the FAA grounded the plane following 2 deadly crashes, the company said, quote, "We won't put our customers and employees on that plane until regulators make their own independent assessment that it is safe to do so." Boeing CEO said Thursday it is closing in on a fix. Well, the YMCA is getting a whole new element of fun tomorrow. We'll explain next. The long-awaited Missouri Family YMCA Splash Zone Center opens tomorrow. It features 2 water slides, fountains, water sports, lap lanes, therapy jets, and a Shields party room for birthday party rentals. Amber Ray Bernhardt, the Marketing and Annual Campaign Support Director, says Splash Zone will be fun for the whole family.
And we're just really trying to branch into the community in a way that we can be there to support everybody here and the needs of people in our community.
Bernhardt says second graders in the YMCA's water safety program will get to swim first at noon, and free swim opens at 7 p.m. Is it swimming weather tomorrow?
Yeah, most definitely. Temperatures are warming up, but as we start out our Tuesday morning, we will be a few degrees below freezing, upper 20s and lower 30s, light west wind. Then we're warming up into the 60s. Chance of showers across the southwest during the afternoon and gradually spreading north and east that evening overnight. But hey, Wednesday, more showers, especially the first half of the day, but the weekend looks good.
It sure looks great. Have a good night.